There are tons of returning characters in Legends EA. We got Emma, AZ, and heck, even Mabel, but for some reason there are tons of characters that do not appear in Legends EA, like Clemont for example. But fret not everyone, because I have read through hundreds of NPC dialogues and have seen hundreds of posters that I can finally give some insight into where some of these characters are at, as well as why some characters return such as Mabel but not others like Malva. My name is Pokey and this is Where Are These Characters in Legends EA? Now let's start with our first missing case, that being the other Team Flare grunts. Now if you actually read some of the game, you would know that Mabel actually tells you that the Team Flare grunts were arrested after the events of Pokemon XY, which makes total sense. But what about Team Flare Adam and Malva? She was not only a part of Team Flare, but also an Elite Four member. Well, same situation there. Everyone was arrested except for Mabel since they wanted to keep her for her extensive knowledge on Pokemon energy. So that would also mean that there is one less Elite Four member in the Kalos region, and she probably got replaced by now since it's been 5 years. But with who? Well, I couldn't really find any concrete information, and I'm not gonna lie to you saying it's freaking Trainer Joey, but maybe someday we'll find out. Now moving on to missing person case number 2, we have none other than Professor Sycamore. Now when you first play the game, you can find an NPC in the Pokemon Research Lab where he states that the old professor retired his position to Mabel. Now unlike with Team Flare, we don't have much to go off of with Sycamore, nor do we even know why he retired in the first place. Now I'm going to give you guys the real conspiracy theory as to why he left, alright? Here we go. The conspiracy is that he didn't actually agree with the way Quasartico was handling Lumiose with all the wild zones. So instead of being forced to work for the government, he just straight up took his Garchomp and dipped, which would honestly make a lot of sense considering how political Legends EA was getting with literal protests being shown and people outcry as well. It wouldn't make sense for him to retire because of his age since he's one of the younger professors. And unlike a lot of other professors in other Pokemon games, he's not the type of person to stay cooped up in his research all day. And that is evident in both the Pokemon XY games and the Pokemon XY anime. But that's that for Sycamore. Now moving on to our third missing persons case, we have Xerosic. Now you might also think that Xerosic was taken prisoner along with the rest of Team Flare, but that isn't true, or at least not the full picture. Alright Yuki, this is where you come in now. Yes, you're very excited, but I want you to bring up some crucial information on Xerosic that we see in Legends EA. Thanks a bunch, Yuki. So like Yuki was saying, Xerosic likely got a plea deal like Mabel and had to work for Lumiose under strict regulations. And I have to imagine that Emma and Looker vouched for him out of empathy, since Emma still talks about him as a dear mentor. So like Mabel, he probably changed his ways and is now working for the government at another location. He might have even helped construct the wild zones behind the scenes. I mean, that would make sense given his intelligence. Xerosic is one of the smartest characters in the verse, which I covered in a past video if you'd like to check that out after watching this one. It would make zero sense that they wouldn't use his intelligence to do good for Lumiose, or at least in the government's eyes. But whether or not they put him back in prison after using him is not something I know. But I would argue that he got the same deal as Mabel, so maybe not. Now this next one might not be considered a missing persons case since they don't technically need to be in Lumiose, but I thought it'd be cool to mention. If you guys remember the fairy type gym leader Valerie, we actually see posters of her in Lumiose and she seems to have acquired a goth persona now. Honestly, I agree. So it's nice to see that she's still a gym leader. Again, not really a missing persons case, but it's a nice little Easter egg nonetheless. But if you guys are enjoying the video so far, it would mean a lot to me if you like this video and even commented down below because it would help tremendously with this video's performance. But nonetheless, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this. I appreciate it, friends. But anyways, back to the video. Now our next target is someone from the thumbnail of this video and probably the whole reason you clicked on this video to begin with. Because let's all be truthful here, who doesn't like Clemont? I mean, I know Yuki does. So let's answer the dying question. Where is Clemont? Now just like Professor Sycamore, we don't really get much about Clemont's current whereabouts, but we do know why he left. According to different NPCs in Lumiose, Clemont actually left Prism Tower for an extended period of time. The likely reason being that as a gym leader, he had to relocate for the time being until renovations were complete. However, that never happened because, you know, that bullcrap happened. Another valid question to ask is why he didn't just, relocate somewhere else in Lumiose. It doesn't really make sense to evict him and his family out of their own home, essentially. And that is completely fair, but ultimately, I don't think Clemont has all the say about that because he isn't a true government official. He's just really freaking smart and does stuff for the government, but he isn't like a high-ranking member or anything like that. Of course, I don't actually think he got evicted as that would make zero sense to lose such a reputable person, but Clemont is probably somewhere else in Kalos where his gym is stationed at. I wouldn't even be surprised if he was stationed at Xerosic town after the great catastrophe from XY, probably getting to work by supplying the town with stable energy and helping rebuild, since that town was practically unlivable by the end of the game. So yeah, Clemont is definitely still in Kalos. He just relocated because of the changes being done to Prism Tower. Although I don't think he's coming back to Lumiose after certain events transpired. Next up on our missing person cases, we have the former Kalos champion, Diantha. Now, Diantha is a character I really wanted to talk about for one main reason, because you would think the former champion of Kalos would be involved in the affairs going on in Lumiose, right? What do you mean, Yuki? Ah, I see. So essentially, since Diantha is no longer champion, her burden of being Kalos' protector is finally over. So she's no longer needed in Kalos. Nice thinking, Yuki. It makes sense for a character too, since Diantha is a movie star and traveling across the world is necessary for movie making. So limiting herself to just Kalos would really hurt her career. But maybe she'll return in Legends CA during the Mega Dimensions DLC. I've even heard rumors that Ansha is Diantha's kid, so if that's the case, then we shall see what happens. And last but not least on the list is none other than Callum and Serena. But I'll just be saying it like Callum's the MC since it's easier. A question that bothers me a ton is where was Callum during the huge crisis in Lumios? He is the new Kalos champion after all. In fact, where is the rest of the Kalos gang after X and Y? We know Lita's Tierno's sister, so Tierno must be somewhere in Kalos, but where the heck is Shauna and Trevor? Where are the people that were there when the ultimate weapon was fired? Why aren't they out here in Lumios protecting the region? Well, I have two plausible answers for that. The first one is that all of them scattered after the events of XY to follow their passions. Trevor became a researcher slash professor in a faraway region, Serena traveled across other regions to become a stronger trainer, and Tierno became a famous dancer in Kalos. Now this would make sense since that was the whole point of XY, just a bunch of kids trying to follow their own dreams. But then that still doesn't explain where Callum went. Well, if I had to guess his whereabouts, I'd believe he isn't actually in Kalos. I mean, think about it for a sec. If he was in Kalos, he was helping the citizens escape and take refuge while also helping fight Ange. And champions traveling across regions isn't far-fetched either. We've seen Red and Blue appear in Sun and Moon even though they are the Kanto champions. And we've seen past champions also return in the Black and White 2 tournament. And the explanations given to us by Red and Blue during Sun and Moon was that they wanted to test their skills in the Sun and Moon battle tree, meaning the likely reason Callum isn't in Kalos is because he's training in a faraway region. And as simple as that sounds, it's probably true. Old champions we've seen travel far and wide to get stronger. Red and Blue are just the most notable examples. And I think Callum left Kalos in good hands, seeing as Corinne is the new Mega successor in Mega Dimensions, so he didn't have to worry too much. But yeah, that's pretty much all the notable characters from X and Y, and I hope I was able to give you guys some clarity as to where these people were at, since clearly the games weren't about to tell you. So Yuki, what is our question for the day? Ooh, my favorite Mega from Legends EA is easily Mega Greninja. I am a bit biased, but come on, it looks so cool. Mega Scrafty is a great pick, Yuki. But anyways, it's time to say bye to the viewers.